When I think of NFTs, and we
Mhm.
had 101 level NFT show a little while back, right?
Oh,
And to,
cool.
to catch everybody up, this to me feels more like senior level graduate thesis of what we're about to talk about right now. But when I think about NFTs, I essentially recognize that it is a piece of code that represents a smart contract. And it's kind of like the combination of like it can be used as a combination of like a loyalty card plus track record, kind of like ledger kind of thing of like who it's changed hands in. It can represent it can kind of get embedded any kind of agreement with a clear path to like who's owned it before that becomes super useful in however you can imagine it. Is that kind of how you describe it on a very basic level?
It's so funny when you learn about brand new things, you always have your own analogies in your own head that makes you think of it. The one I use that's closest is if you were old enough to check out library books from the library when you were a kid, you got to see all the people before you who had read the book because you had to write your name in the card and it stayed in the front flap. And then everybody after you could see when you bought it. It's not that different in terms of an NFT. It's kind of a digital receipt, a bill of sale, and a previous ownership kind of track record all in one. And people overthink the technology. Just think of the psychology of it. It's a receipt that you've purchased something, who you purchased it for, how much. And it also has a pretty handy bill of sale attached to it that if you choose to sell it, the smart contracts allow you to sell it for how much. And then you're free and clear of any issues that come on down the road from that. Much like the library card, you fill it out, you owned it. So you can look at who's owned the NFT and it has a bill of sale kind of attached in the code to be able to sell the NFT. And those are very simplified terms, but that's probably a basic explanation.
I think that's a pretty good explanation right there. I never heard that. I never heard the old library card analogy. I really, really like that as a old millennial myself. And that makes a ton of sense. But you described a game ticket as something that can be resellable. We've all been there. We've all bought something from somebody that is reselling a ticket and or resold a ticket ourselves, or at least I assume most of us have. And in this regard, because the ticket now can track ownership and you can latch onto that, the resale can go back to the original seller, which can work really well for art, can work really, really well for bands wanting to sell their tickets or your Colts wanting to sell some tickets. Now that's a feature that you can embed into it. Am I right that's like one feature that you can put into something that works for things like that? Or does that the case with all NFTs? Do all NFTs pay royalty to the original owner whenever that happens?
Most do, but it's at discretion of the person who mints it, which in this case, the person who mints it creates it, puts it on blockchain, puts it on a smart contract. But yeah, most, if you look at the NFT craze in terms of art, audiobooks, digital books, they are all giving a royalty back to the original minter, which, and if you think about this on an abstract level, this is where my brain gets really kind of hectic. If you think about a developer of a condo unit, let's say they're in Jacksonville, which downtown Jacksonville is booming, as we all know. But let's say you develop 200 units and you created those houses as NFTs and they had to stay as NFTs to sell and to buy. That developer went from making money one time when he developed the unit to now making money every time that unit is sold down the line. And there's some beauty to that. And there's some kind of justification. There's some real estate laws that may or may not preclude that. It's a little bit gray, but that's an interesting perspective from a new home builder's perspective, from an investor's perspective, from a developer's perspective. Can we create generational revenue by building houses and placing them within NFTs? That's kind of the next phase of it. If we're at layer one right now, kind of figuring everything out, that's kind of layer two.
So I want to get back into this idea of resale a little bit down the line when we start talking more advanced concepts of how this affects the future of real estate. Mm-hmm. How is the way that I'm understanding right now on the basic level? Now let's go to the basic level of real estate. It seems like this essentially just took the place of title transfer, right? Like, is it kind of that simple that in order to get it to an NFT, what you've done is clear up all title concerns and then make the title an NFT. So from henceforth, whatever is going to be sold in this home, it's much easier to track and much easier to kind of like attach different agreements to?
Not yet. Theoretically, that's what will happen. So today when we NFT a home, we take said home, we put into a corporate structure, either an LLC or a trust. In Florida, we put it into an LLC. So now the LLC owns the home. Technically, we NFT that company or that LLC, and then you take ownership from one wallet to the other to actually own that company which owns the home. A little bit like those Russian nesting dolls. Inside the one nesting doll, there's another nesting doll. The issue with that is we still do traditional title, paperwork, everything through our own proprietary title company, property title and escrow, because at the municipality level, they just haven't evolved enough to be able to do transactions in real time. They will, especially for those viewers or listeners of yours in Florida. Florida will relatively quickly. There will be a day when the county, municipal assessor, whomever that works for the municipality, they will log in on Monday. They'll look on a certain chain. They'll take all the transactions that happened over the weekend. They'll put them into their custodialized database. But as of right now, they're the arbiter of that information. So on our NFTs, we do traditional title as well as wallet to wallet transfer of money, but it's all within a corporate structure.
Okay. All right. So before we get into the how I would, as a tech idiot myself, be able to pull that off, I would like to ask, what is the, and I see the future benefit of this stuff. What's the benefit of doing it right now?
I look at it from three different tranches. From an investor's benefit, there's a benefit in keeping it as an NFT. Then when you can sell it, you can be very liquid. If you want to sell it wallet to wallet, you could sell it within minutes, not 45 days on average closing. You could sell it within minutes. You can also borrow against it from a DeFi lending perspective. If you have a house that's an NFT and it's worth $1 million, we have partners that'll give you a loan within minutes up to 50% of the value relatively quickly. From a traditional buyer's perspective, hey, I'm Adam. I'm in St. Louis or Kentucky. I want to buy a house. If I look on the marketplace and find a house that's available as an NFT, I know that if I buy that house, I can take my traditional money, my fiat, cash, whatever you want to call it. I can convert it to a stable coin, and I can buy that house when it's on the market and move in immediately. And oh, by the way, before I buy that house, all of the property NFT homes, we have appraisal, we have inspection, we have all the debt encumbrances are free and clear. We have all the title and escrow paperwork that you would need to be able to buy it, to know that what you're buying is actually what it is, and it has no debt against it, no mechanics, liens, et cetera, et cetera. So from a buyer's perspective, it's extremely agile. I could see everything about the house before I make an offer. If I do want to buy the house, I make the offer, offer's accepted, wallet to wallet transaction. Within minutes, I own the house. Theoretically, same day I can move in. From a seller's perspective, it's a little bit different. I want to NFT my house. I own it free and clear. I do the appraisal up front. I do the inspection up front. I do the paperwork for title and escrow. I put it into the LLC up front. So I do all that on my terms. Then the day I list it, let's say I list it August 1st. In a market like this, August 1st, I get funded. So the beauty of it is that 45 to 55 day window that most traditional transactions have, where I list my house, you make an offer, and then the real negotiation begins, inspections, appraisals. We're not going to pay for that. You are going to pay for that. I want a home warranty. No, I don't. All that's eliminated. And if you look at the way technology has impacted humans the most in the last 20 years, we've used technology to reduce friction in our lives. Like I get groceries delivered to me. I've actually bought a car where it showed up, was dropped off in front of my house. No problem. They picked up my trade-in. I mean, there's some people, you know, they meet their spouse online, right? Just who they want to meet, go out to coffee with them, meet them right there. Eliminate a lot of that friction. And there's a large subset of buyers who are liquid that will not want to deal with that 45-day window of the back and forth. I bought a house, I put an offer in, but we really don't know where it's going to shake out. My lender might not approve me for that much. We might get into the house and see what it's not what we thought it was. So it eliminates a lot of that friction, that back and forth. And as municipalities evolve and they recognize wall-to-wall transactions in real time, you won't need to put the house into a corporate structure. That will be the way real estate's transacted.
Okay, I'm a buyer, right? I believe in all things that reduce friction as a business model, right? I think we have proven that as human beings, we value time as the ultimate asset. And if you can save time, it helps, right? So whether I'm looking to sell my home, right? Like if at some point I'm going to want to sell my home, I'm going to want it on the easiest platform to move that home and put that money in my pocket as possible. If I'm looking to buy a home, I'm looking for the least amount of headache possible. So I would be incentivized to be like, whose home is an NFT? So I can just pick this thing up right now, wallet to wallet, right?